Apple Music Essentials, Tim McGraw, music's most influential artists and the stories behind their songs.
I'm very excited that we're just all about the music today. We've never really sat down and done just music, and I love this because I want to dive in because we're getting into the Tim McGraw Essentials playlist right here on Apple Music, and this is going to be some fun, my friend. You started with Where the Green Grass Grows, so I want you to tell me all about that and what it was. Why is that song passionate for you?
One of my favorite songs to play live. When that fiddle just jumps in right at the beginning, there's just nothing like it. I think it just lights the crowd up every time we play it. That whole album is special to me, but Green Grass Grows is something that I'll never get tired of playing live, and I can't imagine a time that it won't be in my set list.
Yeah, I think that's one of those songs that if you don't play it, people are going to probably be like, right?
I know.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that song was recorded 25 years ago, something like that. 1997.
Yeah.
Wow, gosh. And still, you see when we play it, you see teenage kids just know every word to it, and that's pretty gratifying for an artist. In fact, we still do a breakdown part in the middle of it where we don't sing and the audience sings, and every time without fail, they nail it.
We were talking about the Warren Brothers, and they co-wrote Highway Don't Care, right?
Yes.
Why'd you choose that song?
That's one of my favorite records I've ever made. I mean, I had that record I had that demo of theirs for a little while, and trying to figure out how to do it and work my head around how I was going to record it. We got Talk Taylor into singing on it, and she was happy to do it and jumped right on it. And Keith Urban playing lead guitar on that. I mean, he just absolutely ripped the face off of it on the lead guitar. Cutting the video was really cool. The video idea was my daughter Gracie's idea. My oldest daughter Gracie. I was driving her to school one day, and I'm trying to think of an idea. I couldn't think of an idea for the video. And she says, well, Dad, you should have a video with kids, somebody texting and having a wreck. And she laid the whole idea out. So it was all her idea from the beginning. And actually that opening shot of the trees and stuff was a shot that I had her shoot for me while I was driving down the road that we passed on to the director. And when we did it on the Academy of Country Music Awards. And the three of us doing that song together, it was, for me, I was just thrilled to have those guys on stage with me and to do that song. But if anybody goes back and looks at that, and if you talk to Keith, he'll tell you, if anybody goes back and looks at that, at the end of it, we're all three at the end at the front of the stage, we're all three of us together, and Keith does this big guitar thing, and he slings the neck of his guitar around and misses my face. I mean, by millimeters, comes right by my cheek with the guitar. And I didn't flinch, and we ended the song, and I walked off and said, man, you almost killed me. He didn't even notice that he had done it. If you go back and look at it now, you can see where it just barely missed me. He would have killed me. But it would have been pretty good to be knocked out by Keith Urban's guitar. I would have taken that.
You sent me Meanwhile Back at Mama's. I love that song.
I love Meanwhile Back at Mama's. There's just something about that song that's just so hypnotic, I think. The record, the song itself, it certainly puts you in a place and time and puts you back at home in a lot of ways, but just something about cruising along and listening to that song that just sort of takes you to another world. And I love when music does that, because to me, music can do a lot of things. It can be cathartic, it can be healing, it can make you cry, it can make you mad, make you laugh, it can do all those sorts of things. And I think we're lucky that we get to do this for a living, because out of all the arts, and I'm a fan of all the arts in general, but something about a 3-minute song that can tell you, that can present a movie to you in a way that you can create your own movie as you're listening to it. There's something magical about that I'm very lucky to be involved in. I remember just playing it for Faith and telling her I wanted her to sing it with me, and her listening to it and how much she loved it as well. And it's always a good day when Faith goes, yeah, I'll sing that with you. And I'm like, hallelujah.
And I love the video. It was a beautiful video.
We filmed it out on a farm, and, we thought it was cool to take some of the ACM stuff that we had done and, showing how we'd, get all dressed up and gussied up for one of those shows, and you kind of go back home and get back in your jeans.
Yeah, you guys clean up well. You do.
Well, she does. I just try to keep up with her. I mean, I'm glad to just be hanging off her arm every now and then.
Another song that I love that you sent me, and of course it's a no-brainer, Humble and Kind. Loved it. It's definitely an essential. And again, one of your favorites, Lori McKenna.
I feel fortunate to be standing on stage and just be able to sing that song. I don't feel like it belongs to me. I don't feel like it's me singing or it's my song or any of those things. I feel like I'm just fortunate to be the one standing there and getting to interpret this for everybody out there, and seeing everybody's reaction to it.
Well, I think your interpretation was really good. How close was your version versus hers? I know she did it on acoustic, but how close was it? Did you change it at all, or did she give you any guidance?
No, she didn't hear it till after we were finished, and luckily she liked it. But it was very emotional for me at the time doing it as well, because we had just dropped off our oldest daughter, Gracie, off at school at NYU, and I'd come home, and it was only about 2 days after we got home, after moving her into her dorm and everything up there, that I went into the studio to record the vocal for that. And it was the last thing I did on that album. It was the last vocal I did for that album. And it was pretty emotional for me, and it took me a while to get through it.
Mm. What's your favorite verse in that song?
My favorite verse is the line about "I love you" ain't no pickup line.
Yeah.
I mean, it just yes. Having 3 daughters and being a guy and knowing how guys are sometimes.
Exactly.
It was like listen to that part. If you don't listen to anything else, listen to that.
Yes, exactly.
It just says so much with so few words, and it's so poignant, and it's so spot on.
And everybody was able to relate to it. It got Song of the Year for the CMAs and a Grammy. You guys got a Grammy for that.
Yeah.
So that's great.
That one and Live Like You Were Dying and a couple other songs. There's kinds of songs that you don't look at as ballads or up-tempos or any of that kind of thing. You just look at it as just a powerful moment that you get to be involved in.
Mm-hmm. And another song that you have that came out on Here on Earth that I love, it pulled on the heartstrings, it made me cry. I called Mama. I was like, he's done it again. That Tim McGraw's done it again.
It's such a great song. It's such a simple song. And sometimes something said the simplest way is the best way. Instantly, I fell in love with it. And I wanted Faith to hear it, but I wanted to learn a little. I didn't want to learn to play it right quick, but I wanted took 10 minutes to learn the first verse and chorus just so I could sing it to Faith and see what her reaction was to it. And I'll be damned if I couldn't get through it. Every time I tried to sing it to her, I'd get to the hook line, "I called Mama," and I would just, like I'm doing now, just sort of fall apart. And it does that to me every time I sing it. It took me quite a few times, even now live, where even when I do sing it, I have to really steel up to get to that last line about calling Mama. And then in the midst of all of this happening, that song took on a different meaning as well. Then it became about, not just about Mom, but it became about people that you count on, people who center you, people who put their arms around you, make you feel better about the world you're living in and what's going on in the world, and make you feel safe and comfortable. It became about that. So I think you can go along and listen to the lyrics of that song, but there's a whole spectrum of words that song is saying on either side of the lyric as it goes along.
What was your mother's reaction when she heard it for the first time?
Well, Mom loved it right away when I sent it to her. I didn't send it to her until I finished the record. But what she really loved is when I used her for the artwork for it. I used a picture of her from high school. I mean, it was actually a picture that she had taken right before she found out about me, because she got, I was born, right at the end of her senior year in high school. So I was sort of I was a hiccup in her life, I guess, at the time.
A gift.
And,
a gift.
A gift. Hopefully she looks at it that way. But
no doubt.
Yeah. And but she loved it. She loved it. She was part of the artwork, and I think she sent me a text saying, "Does this mean I'm a movie star now?" I told her, "You're always a movie star."
Don't Take the Girl with your verse number 1.
Yeah.
I know you've been asked about it a million times, but tell me what that song means to you now.
It was just that song. I know that my career wouldn't have ever happened without that song. At CRS, Country Radio Seminar, back in the day, it used to be all these big concerts. I guess it still is, but I was on the New Faces show, and I got to do 2 songs. I was picked to do 2 songs out of all these new artists. And actually, that was the first time I met Faith, too. Briefly met Faith backstage and said hi, and we took a picture together. I was doing Indian Outlaw, and I was doing Don't Take the Girl. And they had a house band that was playing for everybody. And, boy, that one, I think, performance in that one night, the first time anybody had heard Don't Take the Girl, and it was all country radio programmers that were all out there listening. And I did Indian Outlaw first, which everybody knew because it was on the radio at the time. And then when I did Don't Take the Girl, the reaction I got from that crowd, it changed my career. That night and that song changed my career. It made my career, I think.